Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's review, I'm taking a look at the first of the new B&M sets for 2022, and we're starting off with the 8th Doctor Collector set, featuring the 8th Doctor, the 8th Doctor, and the 8th Doctor. So, as ever, let's start by taking a look at the packaging. So the figures come packaged in the very familiar window box featuring the stacked Doctor Who logo, we have the greyed out TARDIS, and the gold foil limited edition sticker. And then on the back of the box we have a little biography about the 8th Doctor, as well as the various costumes that we see featured in this set. So out of the box, the three 8th Doctors are easily identifiable as the version from the TV movie, the version from Big Finish Audios, and of course the Time War version as revealed in The Night of the Doctor. All of these figures have been released before, but this time they've been re-released with new deco to just update them, keep them refreshed, and really it's allowing a lot of people the ability to get hold of some quite difficult to get figures. So let's begin by taking a look at the TV movie 8th Doctor. Originally only available as part of the 11 Doctors set way back in something like 2010, 2011. Like I said, this time he's been repainted. He has a new deco on the head sculpt. First of all, it's kind of more similar to what we saw with the comic book version of the 8th Doctor that came out with the Toys R Us sets back in 2013. So he came with Dalek Alpha from Children of the Revolution. And the paint applications are similar to that because he's got that sort of pinkish around the eye and the hair is a lighter brown. In fact, it's a lighter brown than even the comic book version, which I think looks much better because I always thought the original one looked a little too dark. In terms of the rest of the outfit, the coat, it's still that same dark bottle green, maybe slightly darker than the original, but there is a key point that has been vastly improved, which are the lapels. The lapels now have a lighter metallic green on the inner lapels. For some reason on the original they were sort of reddish, which I believe was some sort of an error during production, but here we have them the correct colours and it looks all the better for it. And this is the same on the buttons, both on the front, on the back and on the cuffs. These have all been highlighted with that same green foil paint, and again I think that works really well. I think it does look better than the original because it highlights the sculpt but it doesn't over-accentuate it. It just pops ever so slightly. And then if we look to the cravat and the waistcoat, this now again also has a metallic finish to it. So rather than being a flat grey for the waistcoat and cravat, the cravat is a sort of golden bronze and the waistcoat is a similar colour, which again better resembles the colour and the material that the costume was made from in the TV movie. We also have some additional paint details on the waistcoat. As you can see, he's got his chain from his pocket watch, which has been painted silver, so that again pops from the rest of the waistcoat. Unfortunately, with the new waistcoat, we don't get the pattern that was on the previous release. So we get an improvement, but we sadly lose that detail. As much as I would love to see the detail on there, I do think that the overall addition of the new metallic colours, both on the waistcoat, cravat, and the lapels of the coat, does make for a better looking version of the 8th Doctor. The trousers have also changed. They've now gone from grey to more of a taupe colour, which again I think looks better. And they've also added a very similar speckled effect like they have recently with the season 12 4th Doctor figures. Now I can't say for certain whether or not that's accurate, but I do think it adds a little bit of extra detail to the figure so that the torso and the legs aren't all one flat colour like the original release was. And then, of course, we have his shoes, which are now in a very dark brown as opposed to black. So on the whole, I think this is a great improvement on the original figure. I always liked the original figure. I think sculpt-wise, it's very good. I like the head sculpt. The costume looks amazing. And I think with these changes, it just makes the figure pop. Then we move on to the Big Finish 8th Doctor, or the Doom Coalition 8th Doctor. Now, it feels like this version of the 8th Doctor was released fairly recently, with the Dr. Dalek 2-packs from a few years back. But much like with the other 8th Doctor, there are some improvements, especially when you compare it to that original figure. Most notably, and something that will make everybody happy, he comes with his man bag. So I know that was one of the key things that people were upset about when the figure originally came out. He didn't have his satchel. This has now been rectified, and yeah, he looks great with it. But let's get into the other elements of this figure first. So head sculpt wise, it's the Night of the Doctor head, which has been retooled to fit on the 9th Doctor body. Paint wise, Very well done, very crisp, very neat. The hair is dark brown with a light brown wash over the top, which really brings out the details of the hair sculpt. It looks really great. I've always liked this sculpt for the 8th Doctor. It's a great likeness for Paul McGann. It works very well. Then, of course, we have the 9th Doctor's body doubling up for the 8th Doctor. You can see he's got his white shirt underneath, and then the coat itself, which is a great sculpt. Again, lots of textural details there with that real leather feel. This is in a very dark navy blue, and the buttons are accentuated in a bronze paint rather than the gold of the previous releases. And then moving down to the legs, they're a darkish blue with a lighter blue wash over the top to give it that denim effect to the jeans. And then we have black boots with a wash over the top just to make them look a little more weathered and dirty. And those black boots are kind of similar to the Big Finish exclusive version of the Audio 8th Doctor that was exclusive to their website. And then, of course, we have his satchel, which I believe comes from a Primeval figure. This has been cast in a light brownish tan plastic, very similar to the colour of the actual satchel, and again, it's really well detailed. There might be a slight wash over it, it's a bit hard to tell, but the details look great. Texturally, it looks like a canvas satchel, and you can see he's got stuff like the buckles and things, which, although they aren't painted, the details are still there. He looks great. He is a massive improvement over the original versions, not just because he comes with the satchel, but when you compare him side by side to the originals, look at the difference in the paintwork. Now, I remember the originals showing up and being pretty pleased with them, but when you see them side by side, the quality has come on leaps and bounds. So if you missed out on that original 8th Doctor, don't worry, this one is much better, and if you have the original, I highly recommend picking up this version because it is a great improvement, much in the same way as with the TV movie 8th Doctor. Last but not least, we have the Time War 8th Doctor, or the Night of the Doctor 8th Doctor. And this one, again, much like the others, has got a range of differences in terms of the paint deco. Now, because of this, when you see this guy side by side with the original, some of the colours are quite different. The waistcoat, for instance, is more gold rather than bronze, and the colour of the boots and the trousers are slightly more muted in places, not quite so glossy, not quite so polished. I actually did wonder for a second if this was a Time Lord Victorious version of the 8th Doctor, but the coat being a slightly different shade of green, closer to the TV movie green, I kind of thought, oh, maybe that makes it Time Lord Victorious, but looking at some of the Time Lord Victorious pictures, that coat does seem more blue, so I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Either way, this was a figure that was very difficult to get hold of. In fact, I think it was potentially a Toys R Us exclusive, whether or not it became available elsewhere. Now, if you missed out on that figure, you can get hold of him here. So once again, the head sculpt is pretty much the same as the one we've seen on the Big Finish 8th Doctor, but this time it's got the different neck attachment. Again, excellent likeness, really good paint applications. Same paint applications on the hair, that dark with the light brown wash over the top. All of the details are great. You've got the blue necktie, you've got the shirt with a grey wash that makes it look really grubby and well worn. Same for the waistcoat, it's gold, but there's a bit of a wash over it to really accentuate the details. The pocket watch has been painted silver, so that really stands out. The sculpting on this is really fantastic. Lovely details with the missing button on the front and all of the creases and stuff, the way the coat falls. And then moving down to the legs, you've got the hook buckle on the belt. The belt, which is a slightly different shade of brown compared to the trousers, which, again, have a dark wash over the top to make them feel like they're well worn and grubby. He is, of course, fighting in a time war. And then we have those Cavalier boots, this time in a more matte brown, slightly darker. And yeah, overall, he looks great. This is another great look for the 8th Doctor. And I think for me, what I prefer about this version, really, is the head. I think the head sculpt has come out a lot better. It felt quite soft on the original release, like the details weren't very well defined. But here, it looks a lot better. So in terms of articulation, the TV movie 8th Doctor has articulation at the head. This is all the old standard articulation. Articulation at the head, at the shoulders, swivel joints at the shoulders, and swivel joints at the biceps, like so. Swivel jointed elbows, swivel joint wrists, swivel joints at the waist, at the hips, moving forward and out to the sides, swivel joints at the thighs, and then also at the knees. The big finished 8th Doctor, on the other hand, has all of the same articulation, except he doesn't have the swivel joints at the thighs. And then the later 8th Doctor has all of the same articulation as the TV movie 8th Doctor, except this one also has the added articulation of ball-jointed shoulders, so they come out to the side, like so, and allow for a greater degree of movement. He also has articulation at the boot, which means his boots can swivel back and forth. Like I said, all 3 figures are very difficult to get these days, so this offers people an ample opportunity to get hold of all 3 major variations of the 8th Doctor. So thank you all for watching this review, I hope it's been useful, and stay tuned for some more Doctor Who B&M reviews coming soon, and good luck on the hunt for them in stores. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.